Good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about foreign ownership because suddenly a lot of people online are finding out that there is such a thing as foreign ownership, and they're getting angry about it. And in the perfect world, it's only us lefties that used to worry about foreign ownership, and we were considered idiots. Now it looks like even people from the right, and I've noticed even hardcore Liberal Party supporters are all anti-Chinese. They're not really anti-foreign ownership, they're anti-Chinese foreign ownership. So let's see what they're talking about. The last time that I noticed this was when there was apparently a huge dairy farm sold to Chinese, and everybody was in arms. Our milk, our... Folks, you live in a capitalist society. The only thing that you own is whatever you've got in your pocket, or if you've got a house or a business, that's all you own. You don't own the land here. Just because you live in Australia doesn't mean that you own BHP or that you own this particular dairy farm that was sold. So all you got to do, folks, is use Google. If you think that I'm a bullshitter, use Google. So that's what I did. I Googled. I thought, okay, the Chinese bought it, and who sold it to them? Who was the Aussie who sold it to them? But like many other things, folks, it wasn't even owned by an Aussie. In this particular case, it was owned by a Canadian a Canadian fund, and people were getting angry at why a Canadian company would sell to a Chinese company. Get over it, folks. We're living in the perfect capitalist world these days, you see. Even China has embraced the form of capitalism. So even China now is part of the international community. Now those of us living here in Australia, or in Canada, or in America, who go on about foreign ownership, you make me laugh, folks. You, the children of the empire, the children whose lifestyle is predicated on the armed robbery and attempted genocide of indigenous people throughout the world. You have absolutely no moral right to tell anyone what to do. You have no moral right whatsoever. You are beneficiaries of capitalism, of colonialism, of globalism. But anyway, I actually wanted to have a look and see who owns Australia. And, up till 1999, the major players were America and England. There was no China. Only America, and I think America owns 35% of all the foreign stuff that's owned. I think it's in the 30s, and England in the 20s. And there's a little nation called Belgium, folks. Belgium owns more business, more foreign investment here than China. So why is China being picked on? Because Western people don't want to look at the reality of the situation. They're emotionally invested in this idea that they're good and our enemies are bad. So we blame the Chinese for paying good money to other foreigners to buy what we consider ours. Well, I've told you it's not ours. Property in capitalist societies belongs to the owner, to the capitalist, to the owners, not to the people. Funny thing is, we used to have things that used to belong to us. So I took the train today. It's called Vic Rail. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to a French company. So not only are we whinging without knowing anything, we're whinging because we have a seed of racism that's anti-Chinese within our history and within our culture in Australia. You can't blame China for doing what the rest of the world has been doing. And if you do that, you're not just a hypocrite, you're a racist. So, talking about the stuff that we used to own. Who do you think sold that off, folks? It wasn't the Labour Party that started the privatisation of our assets. Who was it? Well, it's the same people who sold off our assets. They're the people who've made the agreements, the World Trade Organization agreements that allow people from overseas to buy stuff. But get off your high horses. We shouldn't be selling Australian resources. Those resources belong to the owners, some of whom are Australians, some of whom are foreigners in the first place. And as I said, it's still America and England who own most of Australia, other than the Aussies, not China. And when we look at China, China buys land. Why do you think China buys land? Because they care about the people and they want to ensure a food supply for their people. You know what? It's a pity that our governments don't care as much about the people as the Chinese Communist Party cares about its people. Another thing before I go, I have to point out, a lot of those foreign companies, like the company that owns our trains and trackers in Melbourne, guess what, folks? They get money from the taxpayers. So not only do they take profit, but they also take subsidies from us out of Australia. Now, as I said, we're living in the purest form of capitalism, neoliberalism, where anything goes, where unions have been destroyed, where poverty has been increasing, because the Western societies, like Australia, that are whinging, actually, our GDP has gone up, it hasn't gone down. Our GDP has gone up thanks to Australia. But because we don't own the resources, nor do we own the companies, the working class people of Australia are becoming impoverished. And that's not the result of China buying our stuff, that's because we live in a capitalist society and we keep voting in the idiot, corrupt liberals. Thanks very much, folks.
Thank you.